Wagwan, welcome back to Nursecast. I know that it has been a hot, heated minute. But that is because I was planning a wedding. That wedding was mine. Now that wedding is over because I am now married. Yay! And I have a lot more free time. So here we are. The time has come for a new episode. So let us discuss the new topic, the newest topic. Now, please, I already understand that this topic that I am going to disclose to you in just one moment is a widely discussed topic. I am not the originator, but I do hold it near and dear to me because of how easily it's tied to my grandmother. And y'all know how I feel about my grandmother. If you're new here, just know that my grandmother is a special individual. So anyways, today I want to talk about that thin line, that fine line between a mental health illness and spirituality. Now, I specifically actually want to discuss psychosis. And psychosis doesn't always stand alone. Psychosis is often a result of sometimes a medical issue that wasn't fully treated. It was neglected. It was missed. It wasn't treated at all. And it ended up leading to a neurological disruption. And you start experiencing signs and symptoms of psychosis. Or it can be a symptom of a larger mental health illness, such as schizophrenia. Now, how the National Institute of Mental Health defines psychosis is a disconnect from reality or the creation of another reality. That being said, digging deeper into the National Institute of Mental Health, where other mental health issues are discussed or defined, it often ends up boiling down to similar descriptions, such as some sort of disconnection from reality or a passionate connection to a separate reality that one finds the urge to convince others exists. I want to talk about that. So let's go into religion just very briefly. And I am not well versed in all religion. So what I'm saying here is based off of observation. A lot of religions that I have had the pleasure of observing, the demand or the requirement or the expectation is that you do, in some degree, disconnect, not from reality, but from worldly possessions or worldly desires, so that you can better connect to your God, your higher power, your prophet, the scripture, so that it can resonate with you more, so that you can connect with your ancestors, the spirits that protect you, the angels that protect you. If you are too connected to the world, then it severs or disrupts your connection with your higher power. That is an observation, and that's what I've learned is the case in a lot of religions where people do want to become closer connected to their higher power. Now, let's just keep that in mind as we continue on. No, I do not feel that that is the same. When you become better connected to your higher power, you are closer to being diagnosed with a mental health issue. That's not what I'm saying. Just bear with me. Follow me here. Now, in a lot of my stories, and I don't want to turn this into a story time, but in a lot of my stories, I am talking about my grandmother. I am talking about how my grandmother foresaw something that took place, something that was paranormal. On my channel, there is a playlist titled Paranormal Stories, and a lot of them are nurse stories. And those nurse stories are stories of me experiencing some sort of spiritual connection or communication. And it's not always easy for me to grasp it and understand it. And so I reach out to my grandmother. I seek after my grandmother for a better understanding, for some sort of footing, for something solid to stand on, because to me, that's not reality. That's not, I don't want to say realistic, but it seems so far-fetched because it's not tangible. Okay? So now we're getting into the discussion of a separate reality. To me, reality is what you could feel, smell, hear, touch. It's there. It's present. It's in front of you. It can be factual. It can be proven. Anything outside of that is defined as a separate reality. So, another example that I have, when it comes to children, children's imaginations run wild. They have absolutely no idea what the concept of time or reality is. And as their brain develops, they get a better idea, right? But children are also, for example, I didn't even say what I was about to say, but an example immediately popped into my mind. So I'll use this example and then I'll make my point, and hopefully the connection is easier to make. I don't know if you guys remember this story, but there was a time when a little girl tried to warn her father to not go to work, and he kept wanting to know, and he did ultimately end up getting into a car accident. And she said, my mom told me to tell you not to go. And he just could not grasp that because her mother was deceased. And they went to the doctor's office. He was telling the pediatrician about it, and he could not, for the life of himself, understand the connection, the coincidences, how everything is coming together. Children naturally have a separate idea of what reality is, and that prevents them from being able to, connect with reality the way adults do. So here we are. We're going to try to bring all of this back home. I do believe that those who do have mental health conditions, some mental health conditions, do have a stronger connection with the spiritual realm. I do believe it. I do. And I don't believe it in the same sense to say that I believe that their mental health illness should be dismissed and we should just seek after them for advice or guidance where these kinds of things are concerned. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying, like I said before, that there is a connection, there is a correlation, and I do think it's worth exploring. I think it's worth discussing. I think that in a lot of circumstances, we do end up discovering that people that have been diagnosed with mental health issues are also people that have a sixth sense. People that are able to see something coming or happening before it actually takes place. People that are able to comprehend why something that other people cannot for the life of them explain, they have an explanation that just makes perfect sense when they present it to you. And I think it's because we'll go right back to the psychosis definition from the National Institute of Mental Health, where it's stating that there has been some loss of contact with reality. I don't necessarily believe, I kind of feel like it's like fire and water. To some degree, there needs to be a disconnect with reality in order for there to be a stronger connection with a spiritual realm, with your spirituality. Because I said this in one of my other videos. I hope I don't sound like I'm jumping all over the place. I really do believe in my mind that I am trucking this along in an organized fashion. So please leave your comments and tell me what you think. This is an open discussion, and I do not believe that any of what I am saying is like, hardcore fact and that everything else needs to be, suppressed and thrown away. No, this is just a conversation. It's a discussion. And like I said, it's a connection that I'd like to, hear other people's point on and again, discuss it. So in going back to that disconnection with reality, I remembered my grandmother telling me when I came to her and I was like, I am not understanding why some of these paranormal situations keep happening. Like, am I doing something wrong? Is there a message that's trying to be sent to me? Is there something that I did that I am being punished for? And she had explained to me that there is something in me, something that has been bestowed in me through her prayers, my mother's prayers, ancestry of prayers, because our family was heavy on a relationship with God, relationships with the spirits that protect us. There is something in me that spirits do seek after. And it's I'll try to connect it to energy. There's memes about it all over social media. Everybody's always like, protect your energy, protect your energy. Some people don't really want to be your friend. They want what you have. It's all boiling down to spirituality. It's all boiling down to spiritual strength and spiritual foundation. You can feel it better than you can explain it. And I know that's why oftentimes, in order for me to get a better understanding of some of the experiences that I've had, the supernatural or paranormal experiences that I've had, I'll talk to my grandmother. She's been on this earth for nearly a century. She has a significantly better understanding, a grasp on it than I do. And she was telling me that some people are just not spiritually in tuned enough to really truly understand when they're being warned about something. And that brings me back to my point. I do believe that in order for you to be spiritually in tuned, there needs to be some disconnection, some tie that you have to break with the world. Some worldly connection that's holding you a little too tight, that's preventing you from connecting with a spiritual, I don't want to say vortex, because then that makes this all sound, childlike, but a very different world. It's very different. And this also brings me back to a time where I was taught that our spirit, there's a spirit that lives within us. Some people say that spirit is the soul. Excuse me. I believe that it is more aware, significantly more aware of what is going on around us than we are. Because our flesh, our body, is living in a very different reality than our spirit. There is such a thing as spiritual warfare. It boils right back to other spirits seeing something in you that they want. And that is owed to you. It belongs to you. You don't get to be stripped of it. And that is what starts the spiritual warfare. It's a very interesting topic. And I don't even feel like I'm grazing the surface here. I would love for people to leave their comments and tell me how they feel about this. Because again, I do know that there will be people that do have mental health illnesses that don't want to, what's the right thing to say? Feel that I am dismissing the fact that mental health illnesses exist. That's not the case. Again, I just want to stress that. But the point that I am trying to make is I do believe that, I guess we'll just go back to what the National Institute of Mental Health utilizes a lot when it comes to defining mental health illnesses. That disconnect from reality. Society tells us that there is a social norm. And the minute anyone starts going outside of that social norm, I feel that the word diagnosis is almost immediately brought up. It's almost like, oh, well, if this person doesn't want to walk in the straight and narrow line that the rest of society is walking in, that typically means that they're suffering from, and then there's this word that no one's ever heard of before. Or this term that no one's ever heard of before. And again, don't get me wrong. I am not discounting that there are mental health issues, but sometimes in other circumstances, I do believe that not necessarily that there isn't a mental health issue in a circumstance or a situation where someone else is telling us that there is, but that perhaps someone was able to see something that they weren't supposed to be able to see. And that perhaps some portion of reality that other people were ignoring has been exposed. And it has been exposed now because this person who refused to go with the grain was able to see something that other people weren't seeing. I hope that all made sense. I hope I was able to bring that together and make the point that I was trying to make. But it's an interesting topic. I am not a psych nurse. And when I say psych, I mean psychiatric nurse. I do not specialize in caring for patients with mental health issues. I will say, though, that there are patients that do have mental health issues that need to be treated for medical issues. When that takes place, they have to be taken off the psych floor and placed on a medical floor so that they can effectively be treated. In those circumstances, yes, I did have to treat both the mental health illness and the medical illness. That did not make me a psych nurse, but it did mean that I did have to expand my thought process. I needed to think outside of the box, and I needed to perform my nursing duties in a way that I don't usually do it. And I learned a lot, and I'm so incredibly grateful for those components of my career where I didn't see them coming. Truthfully, it made me a better person, and it makes me the kind of person that wants to discuss topics like this. It makes me want to hear where other people are coming from, where topics like this or these are concerned. It's fascinating, especially because when you've had as many paranormal experiences as I have had in my short career compared to people with decades of experience who didn't experience a lot of what I experienced, of course, I'm going to start asking questions. I'm going to start looking for connections. I'm going to start looking for correlations. And, my grandmother is exceptional. She's wonderful. She's been my backbone for such an extended amount of time, but it's always nice to hear when other people have had, similar thought processes or similar experiences. And, I've also met other nurses who have shared experiences with me, and we bounced off of one another. We learned from one another. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. It's a blessing of a career. It's an interesting career. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to let this podcast episode rest, just on that positive note. And I would love to hear what everybody thinks. I would love to hear what everybody has to say about this fine line that I believe exists between mental health illnesses, specifically psychosis, and spiritual awareness. It's cool. It's a dope topic. I really had a lot of fun talking about it. Just super quick announcement opportunity. I do have another podcast. It's a storytelling podcast. It is titled Zyla, Zaila. It's on Spotify. It's on Buzzsprout. It's on Apple. I would love for you guys to go ahead and explore that because I was MIA from that one as well. There's a new episode. I don't know if I said that already. And, click the links below to support your girl. I have a Patreon that I would love for you guys to join because I'm working on a comic book and I post a lot of updates there where the comic book is concerned. We're in the home stretch and I'm so excited about it. I'm working on 2 other major projects that, again, I will be posting exclusively to the Patreon until it, gets to a point where it feels more tangible to me. And then I'll be putting it out there in the public. And then, think about joining my up close and personal channel here. I just posted one wedding photo there. So if you guys would like to see that, take a look. We're still waiting on the other professional photos to be done and edited. Yay. Whew, that was a mouthful. I got it all out. Thank you guys again so much. I really appreciate your patience and your support. You guys are amazing. Hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, talk about this in the comments. Thanks.